Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this Schneider Electric Hannover Messe 2018 Press and Analyst Conference live. I will first welcome all of you in the room and all of you attending live on YouTube. Before we begin, I'm Véronique Roquet-Montégon. I lead the global public relations of Schneider Electric, and I would like to provide you with some logistical things. First, you will get the press kit on YouTube with a link. All of you here in the room have already a stick with the press kit. Then there will be question and answer session at the end of the presentation. For those in the room, please ask the question by raising your hand. And on YouTube and Twitter, you can ask the question on Twitter, #HM18SE, and directly by chat on YouTube Live. Now, as a leader of digital transformation of energy management and automation, Schneider Electric is really well positioned to drive the digital transformation of the fast-growing industrial automation market. And we have the pleasure to have with us today Peter Herweck, Executive Vice President, Industry Business of Schneider Electric, Craig Eman, Chief Executive Officer of AVEVA, and Ali Alfraj, Senior Vice President, Machine Solution for Schneider Electric. They will be demonstrated to you the really well positioning of Schneider in leading the digital transformation of industrial automation market. Peter, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. You can hear me well? Oh yeah, now I can even hear myself. Welcome also from my side. Today is it's about digital. Why is it about digital? Because it's about bringing power and automation together, and digital is the scheme that runs above that to bring these two areas together. And obviously for Schneider Electric, I always say we are a very simple company. We do two things: we do energy management and we do automation. And when people join us, they ask, what's the mission of the company? The mission of the company is we want to make sure that electricity is available for everybody on the planet at any time in a reliable way. And if that happens, we say life is on. Now, obviously, when we're talking to the more younger generation, they don't worry so much about the energy. They worry about having access to digital. For them, life is on if a digital or network is available. So I think that fits pretty well to the company. The challenge that we're facing these days is as we're powering the economy, and you will see later on that the demand for electricity is just continues to rise, and for the next 20 years we will believe the demand is going to be doubling, while 2/3 of the incremental generation that will come of the capacity will be renewable. So with that, you will see all kinds of challenges in the energy infrastructure that can be solved by applying digital solutions. And with that, digital has become the driving force for the company to enable energy management and automation. Now, if you think digital is of the future, I have to disappoint you. Digital is already today. We say the present is already digital. While 25, 30 years back, the internet was invented, it was really to connect people with people. And today we're trying to connect people to things or things to people. the Internet of Things. So we're trying to connect 5 billion people to roughly 30 to 50 billion things out there. But it's not about the thing, it's not about the Internet, it's about what kind of value can you create with that. And quite a few technologies have come up over the last couple of years that really create value in that respect. Augmented reality being one, where when people talk about the digital twin out there, in the past they would talk about something that is very static, that is not in life with real-time data. Well, augmented reality actually brings the digital twin plus real-time data out of operations together and brings that digital twin to life. Technology that is really skyrocketing. Thirdly, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and we'll talk about this in some of the presentations today. It's almost embedded in many of the software packages that we're bringing out there to combine the artificial intelligence plus the deep domain know-how that we have in the company of respective processes at our customers' respective applications, and make sense out of those, and then give suggestions on how to improve your operations. Now, you'll be shocked if I say the future is electric. And so, why do we have question marks behind those three questions? Because obviously we don't want to claim we have the answer, but we have an opinion. And one of the opinions we have is that IT is actually the biggest driver in energy demand out there. I think of cryptocurrencies, I think of blockchain, I think of artificial intelligence, social networks, streaming. The amount of data and the hungriness of data requires so much energy in the data centers that are out there that even today is one of the largest user of electricity. In 2030, we believe it will be the largest single user of electricity on the planet. We believe by 2030, and not only we, others also, solar will be cheaper than fossil power generation. With that, you can see with what kind of speed the disruption in electrical networks out there will continue. And that, of course, calls for digital solutions to make sure that power is available at any point in time in a reliable fashion. Thirdly, we believe that by 2030, 50% of the conventional cars that come new to the market will be replaced by electric vehicles. What does that mean for, number one, demand? What does it mean for disruption in the electrical grid that is out there, where you have driving storage, or people use the storage at night or in the morning to feed into their house, for example, or they need to charge the battery. Quite a bit of infrastructure that needs to be built. Three messages that we really like at Schneider Electric, because that's what we're good at. And you can see that also in the markets that we're addressing. They are growing with quite a good speed again in all geographies, in all domains where we are active. A $370 billion market that Schneider Electric addresses. And digitization is really driving these markets forward and give a good momentum for the company. Now, some of you have heard me talk about digital before. Just a couple of values from third parties that indicate how important it is also for our clients. While 2 or 3 years ago, we said many of the companies are exploring. Today, 64% of the executives believe failure to leverage digital transformation will cause their companies to struggle for survival. Now, you wonder what's with the other 36%. Probably they know that this will happen. They don't believe they know it. And it's the scheme that we see in every customer discussion that we have. Digitization is on the top of the agenda, of the top floor at our customers, and they want to discuss with us how we can help them to bring this forward. And we'll show you today easy ways to get started and how our end-to-end portfolio in software can help them. Now, when we talk, we have a reasonably growing market. Obviously, the areas that are attached to the industrial Internet of Things we see a big double-digit growth with 24% for the next couple of years. And that is really also the scheme here at the Hannover Messe. And you can see it all over the place. A technology that helps also accelerating businesses. It helps changing business models at our customers. Now, if you, and when I looked at the number for the first time, and we said, we want to understand how much of the data out there is used, you can say, 10% is not a lot. I think it's already, given the youth of the technology, this is quite some data that is used already today. Even so, there is a lot of unconnected data that can still be streamed and brought up to the computing level, to the intelligence level, and do things with those, where you can move rather from a reactive to a proactive mode in your manufacturing facility. The data that was only available on site in the past has now also become mobile. It becomes context sensitive, so whoever looks at the data will get only certain portions that are relevant for him. So the maintenance staff will see other data, or he will see the same data, but he will see different sets of data than you would see on the top floor, be it remote or be it mobile. And then one of the things, and you'll see an example later on from Craig, where we show a customer where he's gathering all the data that he has in all his facilities into one room to bring artificial intelligence, machine learning to it, to enhance his decision making, to enhance his production, to improve his bottom line, and to be more competitive. That's what this is all about. And software these days runs basically everything. And computing and artificial intelligence are just on a new scale. And I hope you saw that earlier with the speed that we're seeing in this market. Now, I've talked about our architecture, EcoStruxure, that helps us to work with our customers in this digital journey by connecting the unconnected, so products that are connectable, be it a drive, be it a push button, be it a circuit breaker, and then edge controllers that can be anything from a PLC, DCS system, a building management system, and so forth. But then on the top layer, where we have the apps and analytics and services, where we can create incremental value with the IIoT. And of course, this in a very cyber-secure environment, which is very, very important to our customers. Now, this is also where AVEVA fits in, and I've heard that there are many questions about, why people say, why has Schneider sold its software? Well, we haven't sold our software. We have done a reverse takeover of AVEVA and have created one of the largest industrial software companies in that space, a little bit shy of $1 billion in revenue. And we have Craig here, and he's going to show you how EcoStruxure and the industrial end-to-end software are going to fit together very nicely, in addition to many of the advisor functions and software that we'll be showing here at the Hannover Fair. Now, for Schneider, it's always been very, very important to have an open system and invite others to participate in this economy, to generate also a benefit for their company and obviously for the end user. So if we say, how often have we deployed EcoStruxure these days, we're talking about roughly almost 500,000 sites at our customers where that is deployed, with a huge network of partners out there. Some of them very, very professional in respect to digital implementation and a lot of software capabilities, and some are in the process of learning in that area. 20,000 developers out there, some of them within Schneider Electric and many of them outside who've been partially certified to be able to develop based on our platform to create value for their customers, very, very local. And I'll show you an example. And then, why do I say 3,000 utilities connected? Well, those who have had businesses with utilities, these are among the most conservative user groups that we have. But you can see with what I said earlier, in the electrical market, the disruption that we're seeing from a one-way flow of a generation, transmitting, distribution, usage to prosumers, so folks that consume electricity but also generate at the same time. And utilities are really challenged in their business model, and they've been among the first to connect. So roughly more than 1.5 billion assets, what we say, under management, running on EcoStruxure, and at a growth rate of 25%. So what I said earlier, this is really moving forward very, very quickly in that respect. Now, in the digital transformation, we see three key areas that are very, very important, and we'll talk about those. One is the end-to-end integration of industrial engineering software. So allowing somebody from the idea of generating a capital asset, be it a plant, be it a ship, be it a piece of large equipment, all the way to the end of the lifetime. We want to make sure we can accompany this customer with an end-to-end software suite. And that's where Craig is going to talk about in a minute. Then secondly, the ecosystem of partners that we have, because we feel we cannot serve only by ourselves our customers around the globe. They want to be touched and helped with very local expertise, sometimes around the corner. And that's why it's important to have a large ecosystem of partners in respect to implementation, technology, and so forth. And then last but not least, later on, Ali will talk about some of the advisor functions, so the IoT services that we've developed at Schneider Electric, where we'll be showing here at the Hannover Fair. But let's start off with the end-to-end integration of software. And Craig, I'll leave it to you and have a little bit of a break.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Good afternoon. I'd like to cover three things with you. One is I'd like to introduce AVEVA, which is a new company, certainly new to me. I'm 60 days into being the CEO of AVEVA. Secondly, I'd like to talk to you about what it is that AVEVA is focused on. And third, I'd like to share with you some customer proof points that we have delivered in the market together with Schneider Electric. So first of, who is AVEVA? AVEVA is a new company formed by the merger of AVEVA, a UK software company, and the software assets of Schneider Electric. It's listed in the UK Stock Exchange, roughly has a market cap of around 4 billion euros. As Peter said, our revenues is it's all public information. You can look up that information. What are we focused on? We're focused on the economics that Peter explained around digitization applied to the industrial world. We have a belief that digital technology can further optimize the capital-intensive spend and the operational-intensive spend, so CapEx and OpEx. We're convinced that digital technology can optimize both of those cycles and do that in a way that is open, but also do that in a way that has a good partnership with an industrial provider. And that's why it's so great to be a standalone software business, but also has a very deep relationship with Schneider in terms of ownership structure and in terms of distribution and OEM agreements. And so this chart reflects the 5 areas of our focus. And if you think about this, whether a process-intensive facility, manufacturing facility, could be oil and gas, could be food and beverage, could be pharmaceuticals, we believe that our 3D design tools can capture and optimize the design of that process manufacturing facility. And indeed, we can simulate the startup sequence and the operational sequence of either a brownfield or a greenfield manufacturing facility to use analytics to optimize that facility. This could be ammonia plants, this could be a food production facility, this could be an airport. And then once that facility is operational, now take that data and then use that data to get better insight into how it works. So that could be using areas such as machine learning to understand the startup sequence or the daily cycle of a wind turbine or a process production facility and predict when a failure will occur before it actually occurs and allow service to occur on that capability such as to prevent unplanned downtime. It's this belief that the world is naturally diverse, that we committed ourselves to pulling the data in from not just our own systems, not just Schneider Electric systems, but also those of our colleagues and our partners around the world, and provide some insight around that. I have some proof points to show you that's very real. Within weeks, we're able to provide a lot more insight than I think anyone has been able to do before. So this is the commitment of AVEVA. At the center of it is a robust data model, data federation, data management system that can either run on-premise or in the cloud, can run in a public cloud or in one of our customers' clouds if that's what they so choose, and can do that in a way that works in deep partnership with EcoStruxure. So let me explain how our partnership with Schneider Electric works. Is that if you think of the 3 layers of EcoStruxure that Peter described, from the connect layer all the way to the applications layer, we accelerate each of those 3 layers in different ways. At the connect layer, we of course have a lot of depth in HMI SCADA, the ability to connect to all of the EcoStruxure endpoints and the optimized connections into those endpoints, but then also the applications that show a lot of insight into that EcoStruxure infrastructure. And it's our goal to build out more of these types of applications that sit on and around EcoStruxure in the different industries. We would like to be able to say, which we can say today, but today and in the future, that AVEVA is the fastest way, the most robust way, the quickest way by which to build an application that accelerates your EcoStruxure investment. So a couple of examples. My first is ADNOC. ADNOC is the 12th largest oil and gas producer in the world. They have 16 operational facilities, operational companies around the world. They produce 3 million barrels of oil a day. Think about 3 million barrels of oil a day. €1 saving on a barrel of oil generates €1 billion a year. Now, McKinsey would say you can generate 5 to 6 euros per day based off of optimization through digital technology. Here's what we did for them. And this happened went from a pilot to production in between 12 and 16 weeks. We took 100,000 data points from all of their disparate systems, formed a federated data model, ingested it in real time, and presented it into a human readable dashboard that has machine learning and artificial intelligence into it to the operational company. We're expanding that to over 2 million data points, from 100,000 data points to 2 million data points. Every aspect of ADNOC's business is presented to them. It's a very compelling example. We'd be happy to share more information with you. And the customer is so happy of how quickly this went. My second example is Hampressy Strauss, which is a manufacturer of light alloy manufacturing machines. They generate, if you think of in the automotive industry, a lot of the parts come from a light alloy, aluminum and the like, and so they make machines that create the molds for those types of machines. And we partnered with them to collect data off of those machines, use that data to, again, predict unplanned downtime, and provide machine learning, and present that information through augmented reality. So through augmented reality, allow an operator or a maintenance engineer or a new user of those machines to understand, 1, how to use those machines, 2, how to understand how to maintain those machines, and 3, to get insight into the productivity of those machines. These are 2 very different examples, but I hope you can see that they fulfill this idea of bringing together data from disparate systems, from capital-intensive to operational-intensive industries, into a way that is very meaningful and useful for the customer. So that's what we're here to do at AVEVA, and we're very proud to be with our partnership of Schneider Electric. With that, Peter, let me hand it back to you.
Thanks very much, Craig. Stuff, I think. Now, in the deployment of some of those technologies, you cannot purely rely on our own power in the company, but we want to have an ecosystem or partner that helps us out there. and be it in hybrid or discrete or continuous industries throughout the company. Obviously, that has always been true in our low voltage and medium voltage business, but even much more now in the industrial business. Because if you think about it, how quickly this technology is expanding, if you want to participate, I think starting off the installed base, you need to increase the number of developers, which we have done externally. So we've gone out, we certified developers. I talked to you last year about our system platform development engineers, and now with the enlarged EVIVA, there are more than 4,000 folks inside the company that can contribute to it. With that, also many more applications come into the market. So the system integrators and partners that we have for our software, they roughly generate around about 40,000 applications every year that they're selling many times only to one customer. So we've introduced a marketplace where they can expand this to other customers. And with that, we can increase the value of more customers out there, which of course then creates the need of them. They want to connect more assets. And if they want to connect more assets and bring those to life, obviously with the digital twin and the asset processes that we've shown earlier, this becomes quite an expansion machine, a vicious cycle that has been driving the business forward over the last couple of months and years. To give you a simple example of one of our customers in South Africa, and many times people say, well, I have a plant and I cannot build everything new. How can you help me with the brownfield that I have? And this is the majority actually of what's happening out there, because people are not building new plants every day. And so these folks, they produce sugar out there, and they do this with a quite old facility, had no data, and most of the improvements that they've done were based on information that they had collected in Microsoft Excel, and tried to move that forward. It was, they wanted to have a solution where they can bring the data out of the facilities, upgrade some of the hardware that they had, and we installed our system platform plus a historian function that collects all the data of the history and where we can run the analytics, and sometimes all the way to the individual operator station. Now, this has been done not by Schneider Electric, but obviously by our partner that's just around the corner down there in South Africa. And this is the customer talking to us about the improvement that they got out of a facility that was built many years ago, by just upgrading it and using some of the latest technology in respect to digitization. So 40% improvement on lost time production, and a 30% increase in sugar production. I mean, that's huge for such a plant. And from that perspective, a customer came and visited us last 2 weeks back in Paris when we had our innovation summit. Extremely happy with the performance of the system down there, and really was talking very favorable about the partner we have. Just one example, there are obviously hundreds of those happening every day, but for us it's important to stress the ecosystem of partners out there that we have. Now, in respect to expansion, what else is new at the Hannover Fair when you visit the Schneider Electric booth? We've talked about some of the things that are happening in respect to decentralization, because decentralization disrupts energy, disrupts markets, be it in the energy market or be it in the manufacturing market. We've talked about the electric vehicles, and here indicated by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and it drives really opportunities out there. Now there are 5 new advisors. The functionality that we have on EcoStruxure on our apps level, we call advisors because it gives advice to the customer how to improve his operations. So 5 of those we're showing, be it in the domain of power, IT machine plant, and then also for grid. 3 of them we show for the first time. They are new here, is the Asset Advisor, the Machine Advisor, and the Microgrid Advisor. So what are these applications doing? I'll give you a short overview of the Microgrid Advisor, and then Ali will talk about the Machine Advisor, because obviously at the Hannover Fair, the industrial market is of greatest importance to the customer here. When you think about an electric grid, and as I said earlier, the past was very simple. You had generation, you had transmission, you had distribution, you had users. Very simple, and this has been there for 140 years, basically. What has happened in the last 5 to 10 years is that some of the generation has become very decentral. You do it on your rooftop, you do it on your basement, you have small gas engines, you have wind that comes with it. And there is also a lot of uncertainty in some markets, because sometimes there's a lot of solar and there is a lot of wind. And folks out of Germany know what I'm talking about. But sometimes there is no sun and there is no wind. And then all of a sudden you need to rely on countries around the corner basically furnishing you with some more electricity. Otherwise you have difficulties run the electricity grid in the country. Now, if you have a company that has an energy-intensive process, you don't want to rely on a third party, but you start managing your grid by yourself, because you generate some power, you may want to buy some power, and you want to balance that in a way that you spend as little as possible to the outside. That may be true for a fleet of buildings, it may be true in a campus, it may be true in an island, it may be true in a smart city, and we see this actually all over the place, very heavily driving forward. So the most pilots that are actually coming are in the US, because the market is fully liberalized over there, and but also in Europe starting fairly quickly. And you have one of the city mayors here talking about. So what does the software do? It actually optimizes the grid that you have and the usages to make sure that your energy bill to the outside is as minimum as possible. And you can see in what the savings potentials are that we had materialized in the pilots that have been out there. 15 to 30% in respect to cash out spending in your electricity. And while others have no lights, in this case, the mayor was very happy that in the 5 key buildings he still continued to have electricity. But this is coming more and more as the energy world is disrupting. Let's talk about if the next slide comes up. Yeah, let's talk about Machine Advisor, and nobody better than Ali can talk about that. Here you go, Ali.
Thank you, Peter. So good afternoon from my side. At Schneider Electric, we help our customers, the OEMs, the machine builders, to build smart machines in a very efficient way. We offer EcoStruxure Machine, which is basically a very consistent architecture with all the tools, solutions, and services you need to automate and build and maintain machines during the whole life cycle. And in this specific now speech, I want to focus especially on the last part, which is about smart maintenance and smart service. And we're going to present you some innovations and a new offer where we think this is going to help our customers, the OEMs, to digitize their services, to innovate their business models, and consequently create new revenue streams. So you all know social networks and how they connect people and create value by doing that. What we are doing at Schneider Electric is we are creating a network connecting machines with their users and operators. We call this track. So track is an innovative tool which allows OEMs to manage their fleet of machines. And this is very simple by registering every machine, know where the machine is, and create a profile, a very specific individual profile for that machine, so that they can define where the machine is located, they can define what's the configuration on the machine, what software is running on the machine, what's the bill of material, what documentation and user manuals are needed there, and also they can document all the logbook for the service activities for that machine. So I want to give you an impression through a small demo from a real applications how this is done and how easy and intuitive this tool is. So basically, you see here that the user is trying to define the location, defining or registering a new machine, defining the type of this machine, linking it to the specific group where they have access to the machine. You have seen here it's the upload of the configuration, which can be done directly from the engineering tool or can be created in the tool. You see that, and this is a very interesting feature, you get automatically all the documents linked and user manual linked here to this application without any search of the web or without any effort. So and what you see here in the bottom is you can plan tasks and assign them to specific people to be done and performed in the near future. So quite simple, quite intuitive, but at the same time, very powerful tool. Now, you may expect that an OEM is very keen on this, but they want to go beyond just managing their machine fleet and tracking them. They want to know and optimize the health and the performance of the machine and provide that value also to their end users. And how to do that? Here we go. We have Monitor. This is the second innovative tool we are offering. Monitor is basically around collecting online data from the machine, analyzing them, and visualizing them. So this is also done in a very easy way, very simple, very intuitive, and very flexible. And again, a very short preview or demo how this is done. So you see basically here is the user is trying through drag and drop to design his own dashboard. You can go to every widget. You can configure according to the data available from the machine and predefined for the machine. You can configure this. So, and you can set all the points of interest, all the KPIs you want to monitor according to your need. Not more and not less. Very, very customizable. So, and with this, you get a very, very good overview about what the health and the performance of the machine, about the quality, about the productivity, the overall equipment efficiency, etc. Now, what's important here is that we have a very rich set of analytic functions for a descriptive maintenance now, and we are preparing to enrich this very soon in the next release with machine learning and predictive maintenance. The aim of Monitor is ultimately to help our OEMs to increase the availability of their machines, reduce the total cost of ownership of the machines, and very important, we think that this is a major milestone on the way to pave the implementation of the vision of machine as a service. With this vision would be implemented. So now, with this, we are very confident that with track and with monitor, we are very confident that we'll increase the availability of the machine and the time for correction measures and troubleshooting will be reduced. But what if something happened? And we know even with the most sophisticated and optimal monitoring system, things can happen through human behavior, through misuse, unintended misuse of the machine or whatever. It can happen that the machine will come to stop. So what would we do in that situation? And the answer is fix. So this is the third element of our offer, of our innovative approach here for digital services. With Fix, customers would be able to get access to the machine and make the troubleshooting in a very efficient way. In Fix, we make use of an offer which is already available from Schneider Electric. We call it Augmented Operator Advisor. This is a great tool which makes it very easier to an operator or to a field engineer to get access, instant access to the real-time information of the machines. And this by simply pointing the camera of the mobile devices where this application, this mobile application is running, and the user will get automatically the information about the failure displayed on the screen. But not only that, the user will get also a clear instruction how to solve the problem. And one thing more here, by applying technologies of augmented reality, the operator or the field service engineer can get inside into the machine, can get inside into the panel without opening the door of the panel, without getting closer into the machine. And this is an improvement not only in efficiency, it's a very important aspect of safety and protection of people dealing with the machines. So this is one element of the fix, but we have another element. So what if you have, you know now what's the problem in the machine and you need to fix it, and you have the instruction how to do it, but you need, in most of the cases, you need the engineering tools to get access to the controller and set the one or the other parameter or change it. So you would say, no problem, this is available on the laptop of the field engineer. And then that's true. But think about the challenge those people are facing by having all the versions for the machines which were delivered 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, all available on their laptops. It's quite a challenge. So what we do, or what we did here, we offer our engineering tools in the cloud. Software as a service is the key word here, so that the field service engineer has to his fingertip all the releases they need, and they just need to open the browser and get the right function of the right engineering tool and continue fixing or complete the fixing of the machine. So this is fix. And now let me quickly recap. So I have presented to you track, which is a tool basically to manage and track the machine fleet. We have talked about monitor, which is about optimizing the health and performance online of the machine. And we have talked about fix, which is an advanced maintenance tool to fix the machine. So 3 innovations, 1 single application. We call this Machine Advisor. And with Machine Advisor, we are confident we're going to open our OEMs, our machine builders, new ways of efficiency, new ways of innovation and digitization for their service offer, and also new ways to monetize on this and generate new revenue streams. And let's now together listen to a testimonial from one of our customers and their impressions and feedback about this application. So we are very positive about this offer. Our customers, you have heard it, they are very positive about this offer. And we're going to continue our path of innovation by providing EcoStruxure machine. Remember, this is one block, one application within what we call EcoStruxure machine. This is our solution to provide our OEMs an architecture, a very consistent architecture to accompany their life cycle on building the machine, operating the machine, and maintaining the machine. And in the past, we have demonstrated that with our very consistent architecture, we can shorten the time to market during the design and engineering by having the right engineering tools and the right connectivity to the collaborative other tools by up to 30%. By applying very open and standard interfaces, we are able to help our customers to have a very fast integration of the machine into the operation, into the plant, by providing an advantage of up to 40%. And our first discussions with our customers and first cases we analyzed with our customers, we are very confident to achieve up to 50% during the phase of maintenance and service by reducing downtime, reducing troubleshooting time, and having to the fingertip of the field service engineers, of the operators, the right tools, the connected tools to provide the right help for increasing efficiency. So with that, I would like to hand over to Peter.
To close it up and come to questions. Obviously, you know, some of the things that were very important to us is, and you've seen it with Ali, we want to make sure that people can easily get started and are not overwhelmed with you know, a lot of technology. And our track, monitor, and fix are very easy but powerful tools that bring our customers on their journey. While when you go to the end-to-end software, what Craig has shown, if you go into the panorama control room at the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, obviously, you know, you have 16 sites that have been connected in a high end, but still, you know, in less than 16 weeks, this was up and running. And it's a very broad portfolio, easy to get started with, up to the high end. And obviously, as I said, the ecosystem should help our customers. Obviously, you know, it's a lot of technology, but we also ask, what's the customer value that we can generate? And we looked at some of the deployments we've done over the last couple of years and went through the customer cases that we were allowed to give to the outside. And we could see, you know, energy savings up to 65% average, 30% with the technology that was deployed, savings in productivity in CapEx and in OpEx. These numbers are fairly large numbers. Also in reliability and safety increased by 50%. And these are real cases that we have been looking at, not just to come up with big numbers, and that's important. And then lastly, of course, we also set ourselves a target. We want to be by 2030. We're aiming to be a zero-emission company. To round it up, not only a high-tech but also a green company from that perspective. So with that, we're ready to take your questions, if there are any.
Thank you, Peter. Just before starting the Q&A session, I would like to remind you that we have organized for you a guided booth tour, and we encourage you to join. It's all 11. The booth is C like customer 58, I think. Yes, 58. So join us there, and we'll be happy to explain to you all our innovation on the booth. So now we can open the Q&A session, and I will take the question in the room first.
Thanks a lot. Frank Nolte from Mr. Herbeck, isn't there a risk of too much langsam. Digitization for the technology. For example, Tesla had some problems in their very much digitized factory.
I'm not the expert of Tesla in that respect. I think in many cases we're building on running factories in that respect, and we're adding data transparency and make further suggestions to that. In addition to that, I think what's extremely important is we always say it's the pairing of digitization know-how plus deep domain know-how. In visiting quite a few startups that are out there, I've been asking them and saying, why don't you scale this faster, what you're doing? And they're saying we're lacking domain know-how. And what I'm saying is, I think we have the domain know-how on board, we have the digitization knowledge on board, and I think we can drive this forward. And in most cases, anyway, people start with what we call proof of concepts. You don't go out and roll out in 300 factories at the same time, but rather you try, you fail quickly, you correct until it works, and then you go into rollouts. That's our suggestion in working together with many customers.
Peter, if I could just add, I was with a customer last week, and they said their boss had said to them, "It seems like our problems started the first day we got a computer." And the reality is, the first day they got a computer, they understood where their problems were.
Kai Binder from SBS Magazine. Mr. Heiberg, you mentioned that artificial intelligence will lead us to a new level. Do you plan to integrate artificial intelligence or deep learning, machine learning in your controllers, or is it a cloud-based service in your mind?
What I said earlier is artificial intelligence, machine learning is already deployed in many of the software tools that we're having. Now, if you look at artificial intelligence, what it actually does is very quickly compare data matrices to each other. So if the matrix becomes small enough, you can do this in the controller today already. Actually, you could do this 30 years ago. This was in my diploma works. This is what I have done. We've embedded artificial intelligence with a machine vision system at the time. So that's possible today. But if you to get real benefit out of it, you wanna look at large data amounts from what we're seeing today. Whereas in the control system, to a large extent, we are using algorithms that do this mathematically. So there are, in many cases of manufacturing or process control, there are algorithms behind that you can program mathematically. While the machine learning and the artificial intelligence, if it looks at the data that was there from the past, it may give hints and parameters to the future how to improve a process. That's at least how I see it. I don't know whether you have anything to add, Craig, to that one. No? Good.
Hello, Herwig. Just a quick question on how you're supporting customers as their workers are having to start working on these new tools, and there's a lot of talk about how they're being upskilled. Is that a partnership that Schneider's also involved in terms of academies or any other work you're doing with your customers?
I think it's a very good question. Thank you very much for it. And people ask me, in the deployment of the technology, why isn't that going faster? It is because obviously there is also a transformation of the workforce necessary. We see that in our own factories. We have roughly 200 factories, and we've chosen 60 of them to do mass deployment of our own technology, to make sure that we're also gaining the experience and getting the feedback from our shop floor, so to say, how to improve the technology. And with that, we're having experiences that we're also sharing, of course, with our customer. That's one thing. The second thing that we're finding out with many of our customers, that we need to go through a change process in respect of how to utilizing it or how to change the process, the work process that customers need to go through, and we'll do that with them together, because it's deployed in some of the software, in particular when you use augmented reality. For example, when you walk through a plant, and in the past you would take notes, now people are guided with the augmented reality, looking at equipment and getting immediate data into the system, as opposed to writing it down on a piece of paper.
Thank you. This is Probing China from China, and we have two questions. Actually, it's one question. I see you have machine advisor showing here mostly on just a PC base. So the question will be, is there going to be a mobile device available tour for the customer? And if so, then the challenge for the customer will be they will have multiple screens on the HMI on operator center, and they have a central room, control room. They have a mobile device, tablet, right? So how are you going to manage different roles with different screens? And the second question is, I see you have different advisors, right? But I'm not sure in how is the customer experience in Europe, but in China we would prefer that they use less and less apps, right? So for some customer they probably have machines, they have power distribution, they have maybe process applications. So I guess they won't like to use more. They will prefer to use less apps, right? So you have any plan to merge this together or integrate this thing together in the future?
Yeah. So first question, very interesting one. Thank you for that. It picks up where Craig was talking earlier. You know, if a lot of people talk about the cloud solution, and if you go to industrial customers, you know, they're saying, you know, the cloud is very nice as long as it's in my facility. So we want to make sure that our software has the capability to run on-site, to run on a private cloud and a public cloud, and the hybrid solutions of that. And of course, the software is also designed in a way that it can do multiple or different devices. Obviously, the world is moving mobile, in particular in China, of course. How well it embeds in WeChat, I don't know. But obviously, our colleagues in China are worrying about this stuff, and it's also about the usability. In that respect, you know, if you see 40 apps, I think there are very limited customers who say, I need all of them. Practically speaking, this is not going to happen from what we see. But there may be one or two or three that may be relevant for them. But most of the time, it's different users who take those. But we are very carefully watching and discussing with the customer whether it makes sense to integrate them or at least have a flawless user experience in respect to utilizing this software. Yeah.
So I understand that the work that's performed in an operational facility is task-based, but the task is in the context of multiple tasks. So a worker might be dispatched to tighten a belt of some sort, but the tightening of that belt will be in the context of a piece of work that is dispatched and managed from a health and safety perspective. So I think there's multiple aspects. One is the device that the individual uses to get the guidance on the piece of maintenance. The other is ensuring that's connected to a work order and worker dispatch system, and also notification to the safety facilities around the process, for example, flashing lights, safety gates, to ensure the safety of it. So all of those elements are critical. We, together with between Schneider and AVEVA, are focused on that totality of that problem. We believe there will be a lot of innovation in the individual devices, augmented reality, heads-up display. That will change over the next few years. But we think getting the data and the process right is really kind of where we turn our attention to.
Some other questions? No questions. Do you have some? Okay. So thank you very much, all of you, both live and in the room, for attending this press conference. Do not hesitate to come back to us if you have any additional question. We'll be very happy to help you in providing you the right answers. And please join us on the booth and we'll be happy to have a guided tour especially for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for coming.